Hello everyone, we're saying welcome to Things Invest, talk about investing, finance, and first development. For today's terms only, the investment on top today will be Ethereum ticker ETH. First, just want to say happy Wednesday, everybody. Hope you have a great week, by the way. With respect to Ethereum, it's on recordings of 8:35 a.m. on Eastern Time, current trading $3,023, down about 0.91% so far. With respect to the recent time frame in the last 24 hours, we've experienced a little bit of a sell-off yesterday, right? With respect to hitting the all-time low yesterday of the $2,991, and I know in some platform even traded even lower to hit below the 2,950, and subsequently rebounded because we're struggling to get around the $3,000 level, right? To sustain that level psychologically. But in terms of like the substantiveness of the technicals, we know that 3,000 is not a real level. The true level of next leap down is really the 2,750. So it seems like we are still holding on to the ledge, or the cliff if you may. So with respect to the news front, I've been collecting some news. I was having my coffee in the morning. With respect to some of the news about, I would say, the last 12 hours so far, let's just keep it that way. Bazinga came out with an article 30 minutes ago with respect to a Dogecoin Foundation returns after a 6-year hiatus. So some of the board members that are joining the foundation includes the Ethereum founder, Vitalik Buterin, and even Musk rep Jared Buchan. They will all both join the board, which is interesting. Seems like they are institutionalizing Dogecoin as a value proposition. And then another article coming from Cointelegraph about 4 hours ago. The article talks about the imbalance in the supply and demand dynamics of Ethereum, right? Knowing the fact that we are experiencing this liquidity crisis, that with this imbalance, as we are burning more Ethereum than we subsequently produce or mine, if you may, will subsequently drive the Ethereum price point to go all-time high by this year or later next year, right? And the depiction specifically talks about that we should technically get there faster in comparisons to Bitcoin on the trajectory going forward. So it's great news, I guess. But it's still a speculation based on their technical analysis. And then another article came out from CNBC about 12 hours ago talking about the decentralized music streaming service app called Audius, which is Ethereum based, to have a formalized partnership with TikTok. So another stamp of approval from another tech giants. So great news again. And then out of all of these positive news, we got a sucker punch, if you may. So one news come out from Market Watch about 12 hours ago, talking about someone from the Feds. His name is Neil Kashkari, and I butcher his name again. He said that crypto is 95% fraud, hype, noise, and confusion. So it seems like there's another irresponsible or frankly premature verbiage or characterization of something that coming from someone that's not a subject matter expert in obviously this crypto asset class or this subject matter in general, right? So I would watch it with obviously a grain of salt, but based on the verbiage that we see here, despite his credential, he is a relatively someone with great gravitas, right? He's the Federal Reserve president of Minneapolis. So with all of these media affectation, on top of the negative news from the Taliban take over Afghanistan and the COVID variant spread news, drive some negative pressure. But ultimately, the technical analysis never lies, and it seems like it is coming true with respect to the movie that we have been projecting so far. So I'm gonna go to the technical analysis. Seems like the cross is formed, so it seems like the sell-off is imminent. So I'm going to take a look at the momentum. How severe would this be? And how prompt would this be? So stay tuned, stick around, let's make some money. To the technical analysis for Ethereum ticker ETH. I'm recording of 8:43 a.m. on Eastern Time. Current trading $3,022, down about 1% so far. With respect to the overall market on the equity side, we are seeing some sort of a rebound. I think on the pre-market, we are already recovering a little bit slowly, but more prominently into specifically like tech stocks and obviously in small cap stocks, which is the reason why you see a little bit more of a green pressure across the stocks with respect to Tesla and NEO. Those are not the true representation, but they give you some pseudo representation, if you may. So Ethereum, you could see that we are struggling, and ever since that huge surge that we've had in the last 16 to 17 days, we are giving a reason to sell off, right? With obviously the two macro catalysts on the Taliban news and obviously the COVID variants, but also with respect to just a mixture of hype news that are, frankly, not the most substantive. But they are showing some corporate adoption related news that are, that does have some gravitas, and there are some real strategic partnership news on, stem from the value proposition of Ethereum, right? So another great stamp of approval. But ultimately, we are in the recent time frame have to be cautious of the whales invested, right? And we know that they bought in around the level of 2,600, and the likelihood of actually going back down to continue the rally would be likely, right? Because we are still overbought. We are more normalized now because we have been, selling off a little bit, but there is a cross section that is formed. So in the physics perspective, we are basically, throwing the ball up in the air. We hit the apex when we were at the 3,385, which we couldn't get there. I think it was like 3,335. That the ball needs to kind of slowly curve back down. And for us to curve back down means you have to sell off a little bit more before you have that new momentum, right? Comparable to this, right? You can see, obviously the sell-off is not going to be as severe and as sharp as this, right? Because whatever goes up really, really fast has to come down just as fast. So I don't think it's going to be that drastic, but the sell-off has to happen for us to completely come back down to the normalization zone to ideally hit the oversold level, which will be, obviously back to the bottoms here that we hit on the 23rd and the 19th of July, which ideally at the 1750, which is the level of identification that we've talked about. And I don't think we'll actually get to 1750. I think the ideal level will be 2450, which will be comparable to the matching of the trajectory and the inertia that we've been sustaining so far. So hopefully that's helpful. Just to recap on numbers and technical analysis, again, right, the current level is not sustainable based on how the technical is setting up right now. So I would, again, practice patience. This movie is not going to play out extremely sharply because of the fact that it took us maybe, 17 to 18 days for us to get to the top that we were trying to get to, but we never got to. So we hit the apex recently, and now we just slowly climbing back down, if you may. So the bleed is going to be slow, and I think the crypto funds or the hedge funds or the whales, if you may, they are smart and thoughtful with respect to how they want to bleed the market. They're going to do it gradually, right? They're not going to just like tank the market straight up, because that will just like raise a lot of red flags up across the world, right? So 2,750, 2,450, those are levels I'll be looking to buy at on a, practice patient, and it's important that we are applying logics and not just FOMO or use emotions to buy. But if you buy now because you want to incur some risk, obviously, 9,800 long-term wise as the burn rates that we're experiencing and the corporate adoption, we should get there 3.3 times your money from here. That's it for today. Respect my technical analysis on Ethereum ticker ETH. I'll try to do another one later today, but my parents are off today, so I'll probably take them out later. And I also have a couple meetings, so I'm probably going to do them in a hotel later today as well, because I'm probably going to be out in the city. But I'm gonna still be responsive. I try to squeeze as much time as I can, despite my busy schedule that I have. But I love what I'm doing here, right? So that's why I keep coming back. I really appreciate you. But stay tuned for this coming up. Take care. Bye.